Yo, so top of it, that goes for the morning, evening, and afternoon too. What's popping, what's shaking, what's happening, what's cracking. Yes, indeed, I'm back at it. And I wanted to bring to your attention my idea of hindsight 2020 being a possible detriment when it comes to those of mine, those of my tribe. If you share my ancestry, if you share my history, you understand that in this country, our history has been stripped from us. If you don't agree, that's cool. You'll learn that in your journey in life and time. But for those who understand that fact to be true, hindsight 2020 becomes a catch 22 for those of us because while history has served an important role among us when it comes to studying those who have triumphed and those who have made mistakes that led to, tragedy, we understand better how to navigate in this country. Very true. History is very important. The problem comes in where we decide to take action in hindsight. After a tragedy occurs, that's the time we decide to raise our voices, to protest, to assemble. Somebody has to die before we decide to do that. And hindsight being 2020, that's a potential problem because it prevents us from taking preventative measures to kind of negate a tragedy from occurring before it occurs. God forbid if another one of us, another brother gets shot in the streets by the police, or a sister goes to the hospital and dies on the operating table because the doctor didn't have her best interest at heart. That is the time in hindsight that we decide to, put our face in the news cameras and, write about it on Instagram, how tragic this was and how tragic that was. And it's hindsight. There are things that we can do today to take action to prevent those tragedies from occurring more often. But again, we're in a time and place where information is so accessible that studying history is important, especially for us to understand what it takes to grow and build beyond, the obstacles that have been set before us in this country. So do not allow this right here, my expression, to discredit the importance of history, and studying history is very important. Don't stop doing that if you are doing that. And if you don't do it now, I believe you should start to better understand your stance in this country. Whether you identify as a part of the tribe or not, it's good to understand and know who came before you and what they did and what mistakes they might have made to make their end a quick one. So that being said, hindsight can teach you a lot, but it can also prevent you from taking steps to prevent tragedy when tragedy decides to strike. I fully understand why we study history or look to history or look to the past to understand the present. I read somewhere one time, I forgot what book it was, so don't hold that to me, you get what I'm saying? But it said that wise men or wise women study men or women of the past and their great deeds in the attempt to recreate the, greatness. If you shoot for the moon, you'll at least land on the stars if you fall short. That's like the idea. And I wish for the life of me to give credit and to cite my source. I wish I could remember what book I got that from. But nonetheless, that's the idea. Shoot for the moon, and if you miss, you'll land on the stars. So that's important for us to overthrow the shackles that have been placed on us. But in hindsight, the future becomes a repeat offender. You get what I'm saying? Which means if you're studying history, but you're not focused on future progress, putting what you learned, through hindsight into action, the history will repeat itself. The same atrocities will come to be. Do you get what I'm saying? So that is the potential problem of hindsight 2020. You get what I'm saying? Being able to see clearly after something has happened. Now, that being said, if you agree with that potential problem, you get what I'm saying? Here are the solutions. Number one, practicality. Apply Whatever you might study, learn, or glean from history, from people that came before you, great men and women who were on this earth and no longer remain in flesh, but, did what they did and they made a mark, within your psyche, within your memory, based on the things that they did. Take what they did and apply it in your day-to-day. Principles they might have set forth, beliefs and ideals that they might have set forth, internalize them and make them a practical way of stepping in this life, a practical way of stepping in this country, a practical way of stepping in this society, Practicality is the solution, to hindsight being 2020. Hindsight is important, but apply what you learn in hindsight. Very important. That's solution number one, practicality. Solution number two, have your view focused on the future. Meaning, it's good to study. It's good to get information and understanding through history. Very important, especially for those of us from whom history has been stripped. That's very important to study great men and women of the past. I would never take that away. I would never discredit that or talk against that. That being said, understand that while you're in the present, there is a future day. There is a tomorrow. If you forget about tomorrow, the traumas of yesterday, the atrocities of yesterday will creep up on you today. Do you get what I'm saying? So understand that your viewpoint, your focus should be toward the future. Do you get what I'm saying? Very important. Never forget about the future today. You get what I'm saying? But also acknowledge and give credit what credit is due to those who came before you. By way of history, study that. You get what I'm saying? Understand the great men and women that came before you. And I can get on here and name a few, talk about a few, but I want to make this point of hindsight being 2020, the detriments, but also the solutions. So just to recap, you get what I'm saying? No cap at all. You get what I'm saying? Solution number one, practicality, action. You get what I'm saying? Solution number two, have your view on the future. Do you get what I'm saying? And then, solution number three, don't allow history to repeat in a negative sense. If you saw where a path led, don't repeat what you know by way of studying history. Don't repeat the steps if you know where the path leads, especially if it's a detriment. And that goes for those of us who are among us. Some of us can be a detriment to the rest of us. And what I mean by that is, if you study history, you'll see in our history where there were those who are among us but didn't share the ideals of us. You get what I'm saying? They were quick to sell us out, They were quick to put the target on our backs. You get what I'm saying? Not understanding that the great things that were being put in motion at the time, though they couldn't see the fruits of that labor, they were against that labor. You get what I'm saying? So I'm saying that to say, don't fall into the category in the present day of a person who will go down in history as a traitor. You get what I'm saying? As a backstabber. You get what I'm saying? As a sellout. You get what I'm saying? No need to tap dance for crumbs. Do you feel me? So I'm saying that to say, doing the same things and expecting different results is insanity. Don't be insane. Study history and understand as you study great men and women, and then those who made those great men and women come to ruin, don't be the person that makes a great person in today's time come to ruin. Study for the sake of knowing where you stand, if you compare yourself to people throughout history. Not to be like or, replicate and imitate, but I'm saying to understand what great men and women did, try to replicate that greatness. Be a great human being in today's time. You get what I'm saying? Don't allow history to repeat in the negative. That's the way to take preventative measures. If you see it went that way because somebody did A, B, and C and said A, B, and C, and then you do exactly the same thing, expect the same results if it was a detriment. You get what I'm saying? That's the only logical explanation. Sequence of events. You get what I'm saying? If you do the same thing, you're going to get the same result, depending on the level and the magnitude of what's being done, of course, because different times also present different circumstances, and different circumstances yield different results. I get that, but it depends on the magnitude of what you're trying to do. You get what I'm saying? So that being said, hindsight 2020 can be a potential problem. Very true. The solutions I laid out to you, if you agree that hindsight 2020 could be a potential problem, solution number one, as I said before, practicality. Be practical. Be a man or woman of action. You know. Solution number two, understand the importance. Understand the importance. Understand, I got to say this one more time. You get what I'm saying? Understand the importance of the future. Understand that there is a tomorrow. Understand that there's another day after this day. You get what I'm saying? If our ancestors or God or whatever deity you believe in outside of your body gives you breath for another day, there is a future. There is a tomorrow. So study, but apply for the future. You get what I'm saying? Solution number three, don't allow the detriments of history to repeat. Study for the sake of knowing where you fall in comparison to those who did great things. Are you the person that's trying to be the change you wish to see? You know, just a slight example. Or are you the person that's trying to hinder the change that needs to be? Do you feel me? You get what I'm saying? Are you trying to create change by any means necessary? Or are you trying to stop change with any means necessary? Do you get what I'm saying? Decide where you stack up when you do study history. So that being said, I'm going to leave it at that. You know, hindsight is 2020. You see clearer in hindsight. Very true. But that clarity of sight should be applied to the future. You get what I'm saying? And don't repeat the negative parts of our history. You get what I'm saying? So yes, indeed, have a great day, night, morning, whenever you might see this. If you stuck around to the end of the video, could you do me a favor and hit that like button, hit the subscribe button? You get what I'm saying? Do that for me, please. I got more on the way. Best believe it. Yes, indeed. I'm out the way.